All right, Nick Saban, Chris Samuels, and Mark Ingram in the College Hall of Fame. Shoot, they should have already been there, if you ask me.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and I'll tell you about FanDuel here in just a little bit. And thank you for making this your first listen every single day. Jimmy, the College Football Hall of Fame has released its latest list, which is, it's a big one. But there are three people on there from Alabama. And frankly, if they don't get in on the first ballot, I'm kind of like, what are we doing? Mark Ingram, who won a Heisman, he led Alabama to its first national championship since 2009, had 20 touchdowns, which was unheard of at the time. And now people break that all the time. But he had an incredible season. Had a remarkable game against Florida in the SEC title game. Just so many great things about him. And then there's Chris Samuels, who – in 99 was clearly far and away the best offensive lineman in college football, might have been the best player in college football. Frankly, he was unbelievable. And then, of course, there's Nick Saban. It should almost be called the Nick Saban College Football Hall of Fame, if you ask me.
Just a word of caution. I don't know how these halls of fame work. Every hall of fame has different rules. I just know my personal expectation. And I don't know if there's a rule about this or if it's just one of the unwritten rules. I'll be surprised if there's more than one player from one school in the same class. I don't know that it happens routinely that more than one player or coach from a school goes in the same class. So we know Nick Saban's. I mean, like Luke said, they named the whole Hall of Fame after him. So Nick is in. I don't know if it means Mark and Chris have to wait because Nick went in. I don't know. Somebody could say, no, that's not true. And let me know. But I just know, I know there's different halls of fame. And there used to be a rule that you could only nominate, because the nomination usually comes from the school. That's what I've heard in the past. The school nominates. But they were only used to, you could only nominate one per year from your own school. So maybe that's kind of where I'm getting this from. That's obviously changed. So maybe you can have like multiple people from one school in a year. I know this, all three. I mean, it goes by, there's certain qualifications, right, to be in. But one of the qualifications is a national award. And Mark won the Heisman and Big Sam won the Outland. So they're more than qualified. I couldn't agree that all three need to be in. But Nick has to go first, even though he's sort of jumping in line, right? I mean, the others have been out of college football much longer. But I think Nick's going to leapfrog Big Sam and Ingram, and he's getting in for sure. I'm just hoping for Ingram and Big Sam.
Yeah, okay. I don't know the rules either, all right? And I'm going to continue our streak of not doing research on this podcast. Okay. There'll be somebody in the comments who will tell us how this works. But if you can't have more than one, then I feel in a single year, I feel like the school should be like, all right, I'm only nominating one this year. And because when you let me read off some of these names. Now, there's some people that listen to us that are way too young for some of these dudes. For instance, the first one that is listed, and they're listed alphabetically, is Flozell Adams. Let me tell y'all something.
Flozell Hotel Adams.
Yeah, Daddy right here remembers Flozell Adams back at Michigan State. Dude was a dude. So when I first saw that, I was like, oh my God.
Why is he not in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, how do you not vote him in the Hall of Fame? But I get it. Because frankly, I'll say this. I think Chris Samuels is better. But now let me just give you a couple of other names, because there's 77 players that they put out there.
Right.
And there's some of them that seem like no-brainers. Obviously, like a Mark Ingram seems like a no-brainer. And there's some of them that I'm going, okay. I don't know. Monty Ball for Wisconsin. Very good. Very good.
Good player.
Do I think he's in the Hall of Famer? I don't. Kenjon Barner from Oregon. Again, very good player. Very good. Do I think that he's a Hall of Famer? I mean, I don't.
Those are two backs that don't need to be in over Ingram.
Without question. Kajana Carter, very, very good player.
He was a good player, but
I'm not putting him in.
He didn't win the Heisman. Now, he also played in an era when backs were sort of the sexy position too. I mean, really, I would say it's about 2000 when quarterbacks just completely took over the sport. But in the 80s and 90s, running back was still sort of you were the cat's pajamas. I've never said that before.
Well, you know why? Because it's not a thing.
It stopped being a thing back when Flozell, the Hotel Adams, was dominating college football.
Okay.
People said, "You're the cat pajamas."
Let me say, all right. So let me go.
Cats wear pajamas?
No, but my dog wears a diaper, which is just humiliating for both of us. All right. Let me keep going down this list for just a second because there are a few that I do want to get to that have some Alabama ties. Here's Aaron Donald. No brainer. I mean, he's got to be in. And I put him in just for what he did in the NFL. I mean, yeah, I put him in. He also won the Bednarik, the Lombardi, Nagurski, and Outland trophies. Okay,
then he's in.
Okay. Ken Dorsey's on this list. Now, let me say this. If you make this list, you're a certified badass forever. And I think Ken Dorsey is a certified badass forever because he was on a really good Miami team. I'm not putting him in the Hall of Fame. And if you put Ken Dorsey in, you must, nay, I say have to put A.J. McCarron in. They're the same dude in a way.
AJ has to be in. I mean, he's the back-to-back national championship and he won the Maxwell, I think. See, you have to, there's qualifications, my understanding. Again, I'm going by when I used to know this. What I used to know is you could only nominate one per year. You have to win a national award or have been a consensus All-American.
That's right. I think that part is correct.
Yeah, but AJ won the Maxwell, so that's good enough. And back-to-back national, he's got to be in, but he hasn't been nominated yet. And again, I'm pretty sure, Luke, that the schools still have to be the nominating.
Okay, that may be.
Yeah,
it's just kind of weird that Samuels is from '99 and just now getting nominated. Then DJ Dozier. By the way,
maybe he's been nominated in the past and didn't make it.
Well, then somebody needs to be slapped right across the jaw.
They're going right back to the well again.
Hey,
and when you're only nominated,
Adams should kick somebody in the crotch for not voting Chris Samuels in.
Well, see, this is what happens think about the backlog at Alabama. When you can only nominate one per year, and they didn't start this process until the 80s.
Yeah,
Alabama for years had to go back and nominate Don Hudson one year and then nominate Billy, Gilmer some other year.
Harry Gilmer or Billy Gilmer?
We had some sort of Gilmer. Didn't we have a Gilmer?
We did, but I don't think
Gilmer.
Billy Gilmer's getting in the Hall of Fame.
Harry Gilmer.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew there was some Gilmer back in great-grandpappy's
I knew somebody with a Harry Gilmer one. But anyway, all right. So DJ Dozier is on this list. Now, again, awesome college player. I really enjoyed him. And he came to Tuscaloosa and kicked our chicken in '86. I was there. But he ain't getting in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think I think to be a back and be in the Hall of Fame, you better not get in over the Heisman winning backs.
Yeah.
Heisman winning backs go first. And then 2,000-yard guys go.
Can you believe my daughter just called me again during this podcast?
I would never have believed that she didn't. I hope she's okay. Hey, it's your kid. I'm cool with you answering the call, and I think most of the audience is. I'm
going to one time just so I can say, quit calling during my podcast. I'm trying to put your brother through college. Anyway, so I'm not going to go over this entire list. And if you do, I wonder if you only get one. Okay, if you only get one, does Nick Saban count as the one when he coached at several different places? And my answer to that should be no, it doesn't. Because I'm just the same way that, like, a guy that now, in 10 years from now, there'll be guys get nominated who played for 4 different schools, right? And he shouldn't count for each one of those schools. Even if he was
got around the rule by. Maybe we got around the rule by calling Toledo and saying, "Hey, y'all aren't nominating anyone this year, are you?
Y'all want some NIL money?"
Yeah. Toledo's like, "No, we ran out of people about 9 years ago." Well, how about Nick? If you nominate Nick Saban, he was your coach one year. You do it. We'd appreciate it. We'll send you a case of baseballs.
Yeah, we'll send you some NIL money. I think that's the best. Like, send them like $28. Like, oh my God, we can get 2 softball players. All right. So I got to tell everybody about LinkedIn now, but this Hall of Fame thing is mesmerizing to me. And I mean, I'll tell you, I had a hard time culling the list at first, but since I've been talking to you, it's been a lot easier. Jimmy makes being negative that much easier. That's my new saying. LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't even visit other leading job sites. They don't even go there. So you're not even looking, if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're not looking in the right place, bro. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats, they might not have the time or resources to hire. So look here, go post your job free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions, whew, yeah, they're going to apply. I'm trying to have a hook with some of these libraries, like something I do every time. And like, I'm having a hard time coming up with something new to be like the terms and conditions apply thing. So maybe I'll just go back to straight saying it. Recruiting. So Alabama's recruiting weekend apparently went even better than we thought. It feels like Alabama made a significant move for Ty Haywood. We talked about that yesterday, a 5-star. I know that a lot of people considered Oklahoma the favorite, even though he grew up an Alabama fan. Little surprised to learn that this was his first trip to Alabama, to the campus at least. It's just, you forget sometimes, if you're somebody like me or you and you've been able to go to a ton of games, you forget that there's some people that just don't get to go to any games, even if their favorite team, and
well, we're 50.
We forget how fortunate we are,
We're fortunate in 50.
Oh, I'm
been
fortunate
We've
that I've
been
been to a
around.
lot of Alabama games. I'm unfortunate in almost every other way possible.
I'm just saying, when you're our age, you've had a chance to visit a few places because we've had a few trips around the sun that poor Ty Haywood's only on his 17th trip. What's amazing to me is, like you said, he's been to other places. Alabama's his favorite. He had never been until this week and was blown away. Now it's a matter of holding on to him. I mean, this would be a grand slam home run. I know some places he's listed as like the 3rd best offensive lineman in the country. I think consensus, he might even be higher than that. I mean, this is a big time quintessential 5-star tackle to me. He reminds me of J.C. Latham when I watch the tape. Really, and like I said, all my comps start with size, speed, athleticism, and he is pretty much identical in size to Latham at the same age. I see the same athlete. I also see a guy who plays aggressively. I remember thinking this about Latham years ago when I watched his tape, that I'm like, I wonder what he looks like on defense. And when you watch Haywood, you're like, this guy can play defense. That's how athletic and how good his feet are. To me, he's a pure left tackle. Let's remember this about JC when I'm making this comp. I'm saying he reminds me of Latham, but Haywood's a pure left tackle. The Titans apparently want to play J.C. Latham at left tackle, or that there's at least some talk that they see him as a left tackle. So, hey, if you can play left tackle in the NFL, you can play left tackle at Alabama, obviously. I think the world of Haywood, real big. He would be a big time. He would be such a big time get. The Saban building would have erupted with volcanic activity if they had landed Haywood. So, of course, it's a big deal if DeBoer does. But it's not going to be easy. Even if Alabama's his favorite school, Luke, it's a different world. It's always been this way, but these kids make business decisions. And I bring up this analogy about if we're his favorite school and we're his favorite team growing up, why would he not choose here? Well, what I'd ask people to think of, okay, close your eyes and pretend that you're a 20-year-old free agent baseball player, and it's like you are so good at baseball, you can pick the major league franchise you want to play for when you're 20 years old. I'm a Braves fan, as everybody listens to the show knows. I love the Braves. They're my favorite. But if this is a business thing where I got to move my family there. I'm going to live there. I want to know who my coach is. I want to be the best player I can be. I want to play for a coach I believe in. I got to consider the money they're paying me. I got to consider the cost of living. I got to know whether the stadium's downtown or out. I'm not just picking the Braves because they're my favorite. I've got 50 questions if I'm tying my professional future to the organization. It doesn't just end and begin with, ooh, I'm a Braves fan. It's like, hey, this situation with the San Diego Padres is pretty sweet with the weather, place to live. I like the coach. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not just, hey, I'm a fan of this place, so I'm going to sign there. These kids take a lot of things into account, and they should. It's a business decision. It's not about, hey, those are my favorite school colors.
No, you're absolutely. In fact, I thought about this the other day. It's got to be so hard for kids to like pick a team to love anymore because they feel like, okay, I got to break up with whoever it is when we get older because I'm gonna probably go somewhere else or or be drafted by somebody else or whatever. So, but there was tons and tons of news out there, most of it good. What about Jordan Davidson, the running back from Mater Day?
I'll tell you what's happened there is, he really liked Alabama. He really liked Ohio State, but Ohio State seems like they're making moves with Bo Jackson, the running back from Ohio, who was scheduled to visit Alabama this upcoming weekend. It's funny how all these big backs, hey, isn't it something to be in that little circle where every great back this cycle wants to go to Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia. That's where the big backs want to. That's where Jordan Davison is scheduled to go. That's where Bo Jackson's scheduled to. That's where they're all like making the same circuit. But if Ohio State is going to get married to Bo Jackson, who's an in-state guy for them, that might make Alabama the favorite for Jordan Davison, although we got to watch out for Georgia. But that's how good these guys are, these really elite 3 or 4 backs. It's almost like, they're picking, okay, which one of us is going to go to Ohio State, which one of us is going to Alabama, which one of us is going to Georgia. But I like Jordan Davison as much as any of them. One interesting thing about him is he was offered by the Saban staff and the DeBoer staff. This is a guy that we were in good shape to land him when Saban was here, and that's never changed. And in part because our running back coach never changed. Robert Gillespie would get the major assist here if we're able to land a player like Jordan Davison. Again, modern day, good inside-outside runner. What I like about Davison the most, Luke, is when he bounces outside, he's gone. But he doesn't mind the dirty work. This is a guy that runs up inside. I mean, a lot of his highlight tape is almost boring because they're 7 and 8 yard runs up the gut. But as a talent evaluator, I love to see it because so many backs that I watch, Luke, they're great because they're fast. So what they do is they beat everybody to the corner and then they run up the sideline 70 yards for a touchdown. They never get hit. They never get touched. And as an evaluator, I look at these guys and say, if I don't know you can take a hit, I can't sign you because what you're doing in high school is not going to work. You're not going to make a living beating people to the corner, running up the sidelines in college football. You've got to start the play between the tackles and absorb contact or spin out of contact or bounce off contact, but it's going to be all about contact. Jordan Davison runs between the tackles, and it's good because you're going to have to spend some time, a lot of backs, getting them out of. Heck, Derrick Henry used to run like that. He's 230 pounds. And in high school was a speed player, but he had to learn to use his body, in the SEC. Davison's already, like most modern day kids, he's so well coached. Luke, he's just ahead of the curve with that. I think he would play early and he would be a good player right off the bat.
Yeah, I certainly like him a lot. And then there's some other news from guys who visited other places that will be visiting Alabama later. We'll talk about them on another podcast this week a little bit later on. Right now, I'm going to tell you about FanDuel. FanDuel. How I love you. You're the best. I'll tell you, right now, FanDuel's got odds about, national championship for next year. And I just did a segment with our Locked On College Football host. And we talked about that. And I said, you better jump on you some Alabama because we're going to be pretty good.
What show did you do? Huh? What show did you do? Gordy or the gambling guy?
No, that Spencer McLaughlin, the national Locked On College Football.
Spencer. Okay. Gotcha.
It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win to your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads or money lines or player props or team props or futures or whatever. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make every single playoff shot count. FanDuel, of course, is America's #1 sports book. Jimmy, we are at number 61 in your countdown. These are exciting times because when you get past, 60s, and you're right, they're the 50s. Next thing
Think
you know,
about it. This is the third team, right? First team's
I wish
top
I was
22.
going this way because I'm going from the 50s into the 60s here for too terribly long.
Yeah, we're Benjamin Buttoning this thing. I heard Leon say that on Curb the other night. We're Benjamin Buttoning this thing.
Who said that?
Leon on Curb. I forgot what he was talking about. He said,
"Oh, I did.
Like,
I remember that. I remember that.
Benjamin Buttoning this thing."
You're catching up on all the old shows, aren't you?
I am, and I'm almost there. I'm to a point that you were asking me about not too long ago. I'm really in the stretch of where all the episodes are about Latte Larry and Latte Larry's and the Spite Store.
Mocha Joe.
Yep. And it's fantastic stuff.
I mean, Spite Store had to be born out of when Jerry was returning something for spite. And he said, well, and she goes, we can't return it for spite. I mean, if there's something wrong with the product, she goes, okay, well, there's something wrong with it. Well, you've already said spite. But anyway,
yeah.
Number 61 on your list.
Yep.
We will not return him to spite. We love him, and we think he's got a world of potential, and his name is
Dylan Lonergan.
Yes.
We're to another quarterback. And Dylan's, I'm going to say is a good player, and I think might be close to being ready to play, but a distant third. I mean, Jalen Milrose is starting quarterback. Ty Simpson is a strong two, because I feel like if Ty was the quarterback, he would do really well. And he's capable of starting right now and doing really well, but it's Milrose's job. This is Milrose's team. It's Milrose's job, and Ty's the very capable backup. I think then it's sort of a drop to 3 because we're not sure Dylan Lonergan's ready, but what we are certain of is the talent. The last staff was crazy about him. I haven't heard a lot from the inside about, how they feel about Dylan picking up on things and the new offense. Not sure about that. Obviously, they like Austin Mack. But, hey, on the other hand, Austin Mack clearly on A-Day was the 4th quarterback. Dylan's still QB3. A lot of talent here. A natural feel for the position. I think Dylan is one of these guys, Luke, where it's not the traits. We talked about Austin Mack. He's toolsy. He's traitsy. I mean, the arm talent, the feet, the height. With Lonergan, there's nothing that stands out spectacularly about the skill set. You're like, well, is he big? No. Is he fast? No. Does he have a huge arm? No. But so why is he so great? The package, all of it. He's a quarterback. You got to pick out another word.
Better.
How often do we say that on the show? We say that too much on the show. But Dylan's
funny every time. I'm sorry.
It is. And it was funny that time too. And
it's just like number 69 in your countdown will never not be a favorite of mine.
I heard myself saying it. I was like, stop.
If I had a nickel for every time my brain was like as my mouth is talking, my brain's like, oh my God, you're really going to say it, aren't you?
You already.
Too late.
I was like, you already said it. Dylan is a great quarterback. It's almost like he's good at all of it. And as much as I said, nothing is great, nothing's bad. As a matter of fact, everything's good. Good size, good athleticism, good arm talent, makes all the throws, well coached, son of a quarterback. How many times has he got the DNA? And man, maybe the thing I like most about him is he was a quarterback at the biggest school in Georgia. Much like we're talking about Keelan Russell, the young Dylan was the quarterback of the biggest school in Georgia, winning state championships, playing on a big stage as a really young dude, multi-sport guy, great baseball player. If he just stuck with baseball, he'd probably be playing minor league baseball right now. If he just stuck with baseball and never played football, he's that level of talent. And there's no reason to think right now that Dylan Lonergan won't be good enough to be a starting quarterback in the SEC. And yeah, I said SEC because we all know about the portal. Excuse me. We all know about the portal, and that we'll see what happens over Lonergan's career. But as of now, there's no reason to expect him to leave. He likes it here. He could have left before. He is not. Obviously Milrose headed to the NFL when the season's over. Lonergan has a chance to be QB2 next spring. So I'm not saying he's leaving. I'm just saying that over 50% of quarterbacks leave now. That's just the reality. Over 50%. Alabama's not immune to that. So we'll see. So that's why I'm phrasing it with, I believe Dylan Lonergan will be a starting quarterback at the SEC level in his career. When it happens, I don't know. I think year 3, which would be a redshirt sophomore year for him, which is next season, that feels like a time for me when he'll be ready to be a starter.
I can see it. And we talked about it the other day. And, you're right. Boy, that 50% mark, it really just seems like it's all following the divorce rate, right? I mean, our divorce rate in this country is over 50%. And so why should players be any more committed?
Well, I was a divorce lawyer and now I'm doing this. My percentages stayed the same.
Everything you get
Nothing's changed.
goes straight to hell.
Nothing's changed. I was in the transfer portal
business.
business.
Run for office, Jimmy Stein.
I was in the transfer portal business before, and I'm in the transfer portal business now.
That should be something. Oh my God!
Yeah. I mean, the portal came along after I'd kind of been closing down the law practice. But if I was still in the divorce world, I would use transfer portal jokes all the time. As a matter of fact, I probably have some sign on my desk because I was big about while people were crying and it's the end of their lives. I'm doing jokes. I'm doing bits.
There's a lady that went to Alabama, Liz Farrow, that started divorce.com and like its own Facebook or whatever. And it is supposed to make divorce and all that much easier to sort of take a little bit of the stigma off of it. And really just help people, because I mean, divorce can be incredibly expensive for no reason, just because in the middle of it, you're in the middle of a spite fight, and
a lot of spite in that business.
Yeah. And so it's funny that that would be funny if we could partner up with her and this transfer portal update brought to you by divorce.com. If you aren't happy with where you at, get your butt somewhere else. That's the worst tagline ever, but I think of it on the fly. So
we could do several whole shows on nothing but war stories. But I once worked out a custody case, a dicey custody case. Me and the other lawyer spent a week settling it. Almost fell apart at the last minute over a green egg. Not kidding.
Over a big green egg?
A big green egg. Yeah.
Okay.
That was almost.
You didn't say a big green. You just said a green egg. I was like, that's
I said
weird.
Green egg. Did I just say green egg? Yeah, it's better. It's a better story if I leave out big out of it and that it's a grill. It's a better story if I just go green egg.
Now there is a lawyer friend of mine, and this doesn't really have anything to do with divorce, but he wasn't in the case. He was there waiting on something else. Well, I know the case was being tried or whatever. I don't know how this works, but he told me a story that there was a guy on the stand, and he was accused of some pretty horrible stuff. He said, "Now, sir, on that night in question, did you happen to do this to that young lady?" He goes, "I plead the fifth." And he goes, "Now, okay, according to the evidence and according to the witnesses, you did this to this young lady." "I plead the fifth." And they said, "Okay. And on top of all that, we also have this account from this other witness over here that says you did that to this young lady." He goes, "Now, hold on a minute. I didn't do that." I have no idea if he made that up, but it's hilarious to me. You just wait just a dang second. That one I didn't do.
Now that I didn't do. The other ones I plead the fifth to.
He should have just pled the third, whatever that is. All right. That's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.